The skies over Enugu were swollen with gray clouds the morning Amaka and Wosu arrived. The rain hadn't yet begun, but the air was thick, charged with a heaviness that whispered of more than just a coming storm. The red dust roads leading into her father's village were slick with recent drizzle, the scent of damp earth curling into her nostrils like a half-forgotten memory. It had been 13 years since Amaka stepped foot in Umedim. She had vowed never to return. But death, as always, was a cruel master. Her father, Chief Bartholomew Nwosu, had been laid to rest 3 days ago, and tradition dictated she be present for the final Ikwu Oziu rites. Wrapped in a black and gold George wrapper and matching blouse, she stood by the family compound's courtyard, surrounded by wailing relatives, pounding drums, and the chanting of elders. Her eyes were dry. She did not cry for the man who had given her everything, then demanded even more. She honored him, yes, but she would not perform grief. Not here. Not yet. Amaka! Her mother's voice called softly, breaking her trance. She turned. Mama Ezen stood at the edge of the gathering, her once vibrant eyes now dulled with sorrow and something else. Guilt, perhaps. She held a folded piece of white cloth in her hands, embroidered with unfamiliar symbols. What is that? Amaka asked. Mama Ezen stepped closer. Something your father left behind for you. It was meant to be handed over when you turned 25, but he kept delaying. Amaka unfolded the cloth slowly. Inside was a yellowing parchment and an old photograph of 2 young boys and a girl standing in front of a mud hut. The girl was unmistakably her, 10 years old at most. The boys she did not recognize. What is this, Mama? It's a covenant, her mother said solemnly. An agreement between your father and his closest friend, Chief Obiaker of Umuk village. Amaka blinked. What kind of agreement? An Igban Ku pact, a marriage promise, one sealed before the gods. Silence spread like a crack in ice. Amaka laughed once, bitterly. Are you telling me I was betrothed as a child? Mama Ezen nodded, eyes downcast. Not just betrothed, spiritually bonded. It was so absurd Amaka could only stare. In all her years in London, studying law, building her career, earning her freedom, never had she imagined her future would still be chained to a village ritual. You have to be joking. Your father made it out of desperation. The Nwosu name was dwindling then. Chief Obiaker had just been crowned as Ndi Ichi, and your father believed joining the families would restore our prestige. So he traded his daughter's life? Don't speak like that, Amaka. And this boy, this man I'm supposed to marry, where is he? As we speak, he's on his way. His name is Chuka Obi. Amaka's mind raced. She had heard whispers of the Obi family during her childhood. Stories of strange powers, wealth accumulated in silence, and of a family that never buried its dead within village grounds. Are they even normal? She whispered. Mama Ezen didn't answer. Later that night, Amaka sat in her late father's room, staring at the old document. The ink was faded but still legible, and the terms were disturbingly clear. If either party broke the pact without due process, misfortune would befall their bloodline for 7 generations. She scoffed. Superstition. A tool of control. She was a woman of reason. But even as she folded the paper, she remembered her brother's illness. How Namdi, barely 10, had fallen sick a week after their father's death. No diagnosis, no cure. The hospital in Lagos had given up. Was it coincidence? Or something more? A knock sounded at the door. Zara, her childhood friend turned personal assistant, peeked in. I brought you something to eat, Zara said, balancing a tray. Amaka gestured her in. Zara sat, looking uneasy. You heard? Amaka asked. Zara nodded. Everyone is talking. Amaka sighed. And what do you think? I think some things are bigger than us, and some traditions were not meant to be tampered with. Not you too. Zara placed the tray down. Listen, Amaka, do you remember Chuka? Never met him. You did. Once, when we were 10, at the IRIG festival. He gave you a carved pendant. Said it would protect you. Amaka frowned, memories swirling but incomplete. You're telling me I've met my future husband? And I don't remember? Zara's voice dropped. He's not a man people forget. Be careful. The warning hung in the air long after Zara left. Amaka closed the door, slipped into bed, and pulled the covers tight. But sleep was far away. Morning came with the sound of motorbikes and village boys shouting directions. Amaka rose, wrapped herself in a robe, and stepped out to find a black SUV parked at the front compound. From it emerged a tall man in native regalia, ISI Egu shirt and black trousers. His skin was the shade of polished bronze, his eyes sharp like eagle feathers. Chuka Obi. He walked with the ease of royalty, his gaze unwavering as it landed on her. Amaka, he said, his voice smooth and deep. She stood her ground. So you're the ghost I'm supposed to marry. He smiled. I prefer chosen one. The audacity. And yet, something about him was unsettlingly familiar. I don't believe in pacts sealed before I could talk. Neither do I, he said. But belief has nothing to do with truth. She blinked. He walked past her, nodding politely to Mama Ezen. I would like to speak with her alone, he said. Her mother stepped back quickly, like someone afraid of lightning. Inside, he sat across from her, unbothered. I won't go through with this, Amaka said. You don't know me. I know enough, he replied calmly. I know your refusal has already started to affect your brother. She stood sharply. What do you mean? Chuka's eyes turned cold. Ask the gods. Or better yet, ask Uncle Dyke. She stared at him, fury rising. You're threatening me. No, he said softly. I'm warning you. This is bigger than us. The morning was already hot, the kind that made sweat roll down your back even before you left the shade. Amaka sat by the window of her late father's study, watching the compound move slowly outside. Women were pounding yam in the backyard. Young boys were chasing each other with sticks, and the old family goat was chewing on the funeral wreaths no one had cleared. It all looked normal on the outside, but inside her nothing was normal. She hadn't slept. Chuka's words from the night before kept replaying in her mind. Ask the gods. Or better yet, ask Uncle Dyke. Why would he say something like that and walk away so calmly? Why was he acting like everything had already been decided? There was a soft knock. The door creaked open before she could answer. Mama Ezen entered, carrying a small tray of akamu and moi. You need to eat, her mother said, placing the tray on the table. Amaka didn't touch the food. You knew about this pact, she said, not looking up. You sat there all these years, watching me build my life, go to school, make choices, and you said nothing. Mama Ezen sighed and sat on the edge of a chair. I didn't want this for you, she said, but your father was a man of pride, and once he gave his word, not even thunder could change it. Amaka finally turned to her. And what about me, Mama? Did I not have a say in my own life? Did it ever cross your mind that I might not want to marry someone I don't know? Mama Ezen's eyes were red. It was supposed to protect you. That family. They are not ordinary. What does that even mean? Amaka asked, her voice rising. You people keep saying things like that. They are not ordinary. Ask the gods. Is that supposed to make sense to me? They are a family with secrets, Mama Ezen said softly. Spiritual secrets. And this bond was made to keep peace between both bloodlines. Amaka got up and paced the room. I don't care about bloodlines. I don't care about old pacts. I want to know what's happening to Namdi, and why everyone keeps saying it's connected to this marriage. Her mother looked away. That silence told her everything. So it was true. The sickness that came out of nowhere. The doctors who couldn't explain anything. The strange way Namdi kept calling her name in his sleep, saying words he had never been taught. Amaka rubbed her forehead. I need answers. Real ones. Then go to Uncle Dyke, Mama Ezen said. He's the only one who can tell you everything. Amaka didn't waste time. She changed into something simple, jeans and a blouse, and headed out. The village was buzzing as usual, but her thoughts were too loud to notice. Uncle Dyke's compound was on the edge of the village, past the old market square and down a small hill. His house looked like it had stood there for hundreds of years, with carvings on the wooden door and an ancient bell tied to a tree branch. She knocked twice. "Come in, child." A voice called from inside before she even opened the door. She stepped in and the smell of herbs hit her nose. Bitter leaves, dry bark, something burning in a small pot near the wall. Uncle Dyke sat on a low stool, grinding something with a stone. "You've grown," he said without looking up. "Last time I saw you, you were chasing goats and falling into puddles. I wish I could go back to that," she said. He smiled faintly. "Sit." She sat on a woven mat across from him. "I came to ask about the pact," she said. "I need the truth." He stopped grinding, wiped his hands, looked her straight in the eye. "Truth is like pepper," he said. "Some people lick it and cry. Others swallow and survive." "I'll take my chances," she said. He leaned back and nodded slowly. "Your father and Chief Obiaker made the pact 25 years ago. Not just to join families, but to protect their own." "Protect from what?" "From something older than both of them. A curse that started long before you were born." Amaka's throat tightened. "What kind of curse?" "Blood curse," he said. "One of them, long ago, betrayed a sacred trust. They buried a child alive to gain wealth. That spirit never rested. Since then, every first daughter born to either family is marked. If not married into the other bloodline, the curse returns. Madness, sickness, death." She shook her head slowly. "You're saying, I'm that daughter?" "Yes," he said. "And now, because the pact was not honored when it should have been, the curse is waking up again." She wanted to laugh, or scream, or both. "This sounds like a bad village movie. Do you really believe all this?" "I don't need to believe," he said. "I've seen it. The sickness in your brother? That's just the beginning." She stood, heart pounding. "So what now? You expect me to marry a man I barely know just to stop something that happened before I was even born?" "That man is not just anyone," Uncle Dyke said. "Chuka knows things. He carries the mark of the pact too. He didn't come here to marry you for love, Amaka. He came to survive." She stopped. "What does that mean?" Uncle Dyke stood now too, slowly, like a man whose bones had stories to tell. "You think this is about you? It's not. It's about generations. You marry Chuka, the curse sleeps. You refuse. The curse finds another way." She stepped back. "So what? You're telling me I have no choice?" He held her gaze. "You always have a choice, but choices come with cost." She didn't reply. She turned and left. Outside, the sun was blazing now, the kind of heat that makes the air shimmer. But she didn't notice. She walked back to the compound, head spinning. At the gate, she met Chuka again. He was waiting, leaning on the car, as calm as ever. "You went to see him," he said, reading her face. "Yes." He nodded. "And now you know." She folded her arms. "You came here with a plan, didn't you?" "I came here with duty," he said. "Same as you. Don't act like we're the same. We are more alike than you think." She shook her head. "Why didn't you tell me the truth from the start? Why pretend to be polite, calm, interested?" "Because it's easier to swallow a bitter pill when it's wrapped in sugar." That stopped her for a second. "Wow," she said. "You really don't care, do you?" He looked at her, something sharp flickering behind his eyes. "I care more than you think. I care enough to be here, standing on land I hate, speaking to a woman who hates me, because I'd rather be cursed than let another child die." Her lips parted, but no words came out. "You think this is a game?" he asked. "I lost a sister to this curse. She was 6. My father buried her with his own hands. That hit like a blow." The quiet between them stretched long. Then Amaka finally spoke. "I don't want to do this," she whispered. "Neither do I," he said. They stood there, two people caught in something bigger than them, something older than all their dreams. "I need time," she said. "You have 3 days," he replied. "After that, the next wave starts. What happens if I run?" He didn't blink. "Then the curse follows. To your house. To your brother. To your future children." She felt her knees weaken. He opened the car door, paused. Zara warned you about me, didn't she? He asked without turning. Yes. He nodded. Be careful who you trust. And then he got in and drove away. Amaka stood there, frozen, watching the dust rise behind him. Amaka sat on the edge of her bed, fingers buried in her hair, eyes staring at the wall like it held the answer to everything. Her room, once her quiet corner of peace, now felt like a cage. Every corner whispered about the curse, the pact, and Chuka's cold warning. Her mind wouldn't rest. She thought of Namdi, his weak voice, his strange dreams, the way his hands had trembled when she last held them. She thought of her father's quiet strength, now just a picture on the wall. And she thought of Zara. If anyone could help her make sense of what was really going on, it was Zara. She grabbed her phone and called. Zara picked after one ring. I was about to call you, she said quickly, her voice low, like she was hiding in a corner. I need to see you, Amaka said. Now. Come to my place, Zara said. Come alone. Don't tell anyone. The line cut. Zara's apartment was at the edge of the town, away from the gossiping neighbors and elders who always watched too much. It was a small flat with purple curtains and a loud ceiling fan that never stopped shaking. Zara opened the door fast and pulled Amaka in before even saying hello. You shouldn't have waited this long, she said, locking the door behind her. What do you know? Amaka asked, not wasting time. Zara pulled her to the sofa. She didn't sit. She just paced. I've been digging into this family, Chuka's family, for years, she said. But I didn't think it would reach you. I thought it skipped your generation. Well, it didn't, Amaka said flatly. So talk. Zara paused, hands on her waist. His grandfather was feared in the village. People said he wasn't fully human, that he had a shrine in the forest where he fed spirits. Amaka frowned. And that has what to do with me? Everything, Zara said, because Chuka's blood is mixed with that line. The pact your father made wasn't just marriage. It was to seal a spiritual door. A door that man had opened long ago. Amaka looked away. It sounded crazy. But after all she'd heard in the last 2 days, she couldn't laugh it off. And Chuka? She asked. Who is he really? Zara sat down finally. Her voice dropped. I think Chuka was trained for this. From the time he was small. He's not just here to marry you. He's here to watch, to control what happens next. You said I shouldn't trust him, Amaka said. Why? Because he's hiding things, Zara said. When I met him, years ago, he was already being taught things by their family priest. Things about dreams, spirits, and how to keep secrets. That boy has never had a normal life. Amaka's heart thudded. So he's dangerous? Zara didn't answer directly. He's not the boy you think he is. He's smart. He's calm. But there's something cold behind those eyes. Amaka stood and started pacing now. So what do I do? Marry a man I don't trust? Just to save my brother? There might be another way, Zara said. Amaka stopped. What? I've been talking to someone, Zara said. A priestess. Not from here. She knows about these kinds of curses. She said if we can find the source, the original shrine, the one tied to the blood deal, we might be able to break the curse from the root. Amaka blinked. And where is this shrine? That's the problem, Zara said. It's hidden, but she thinks it's still in the forest. Somewhere near the old Obiacre farmland. Wait. That farmland has been locked for years. Exactly, Zara said. No one goes there. No one dares. That might be why. Amaka sat down again. So what? You and I are going to wander into a haunted forest and fight a curse? Zara smiled. We're not fighting. We're looking for truth. And maybe, just maybe, a way out. There was a long silence. The only sound was the ceiling fan rattling overhead. Amaka finally asked, Why are you helping me like this? Zara's eyes softened. Because your father helped my mother once, when nobody else did. I owe your family. And because I know what it's like to be trapped in something you didn't ask for. Amaka nodded slowly. Okay. When do we go? Tonight. Amaka's eyes widened. Tonight. Yes, that's when the priestess said the veil is thin. Spirits speak clearer at night. Amaka swallowed hard. Then we'll go tonight. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that made you feel like something was watching. Zara led the way with a small torch, its beam cutting through the thick darkness. They had passed the broken gate to the Obiacre farmland an hour ago and walked deep into the bush. Do you feel that? Zara whispered. Amaka nodded. Like the air is heavier. Good, Zara said. It means we're close. They reached a clearing and Zara stopped. In the center was an old mound of stones, covered in moss and strange carvings. Amaka felt her skin crawl. This is it, Zara said. The priestess told me what to do. She knelt and began to speak in a language Amaka didn't understand. The wind picked up. The trees seemed to bend closer. Then the earth trembled. A small crack opened at the base of the mound. From it came a low sound, like someone groaning in pain. Amaka stepped back. Zara, what is that? The curse, Zara said, standing slowly. This is the place where the child was buried. The one they sacrificed. Amaka's chest tightened. The ground around the mound began to shake more. Then, just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. Silence again. But the crack remained open. Did it work? Amaka whispered. Zara turned. I think it did. Or at least, something hurt us. They didn't wait. They ran all the way back through the forest, not looking back once. Back home, Amaka collapsed into bed. Her body was tired, but her mind was wide awake. What had they just done? What had they stirred? She didn't know, but she had a strange feeling that something had shifted. And then her phone rang. It was Chuka. She stared at the screen. Should she pick? She did. Amaka. His voice came through, low and calm as usual. We need to talk. Now. Why? Because you went to the forest, he said. And now, they know. Her blood froze. Who knows? The ones we were supposed to keep asleep, he said. I didn't tell you, she said, confused. How did you? I see things, he said. And now, I'm trying to stop something that might already be too late. Amaka felt her head spin. I need to see you, he said, before night fully ends. She hesitated. Please, he added. This isn't just about you anymore. And then he hung up. 15 minutes later, she was standing outside Chuka's lodge. He opened the door before she knocked. His eyes were red, not from crying, from something else. Maybe lack of sleep, maybe something deeper. You touched something you weren't supposed to, he said quietly. We just went to find answers, she said. And you woke the dead, he replied. Amaka stepped in. Why didn't you tell me the full truth? She asked. Because you weren't ready, he said. But now you are. She looked him dead in the eye. Then talk. Tell me everything. No more games. Chuka sighed, walked to the window, and drew the curtain aside. There's a spirit tied to our families, he said. It was bound to a child that was killed before her time. My family buried her. Your family watched. Amaka's breath caught. The pact was made to keep her from rising. 2 bloodlines joining through marriage. That was the only seal. He turned to face her. But now that you've opened the crack, the spirit knows the seal is weak. She will come for what was taken. Amaka sat down slowly. So what do we do? He looked at her with heavy eyes. We marry. She laughed bitterly. Just like that. Not for love. For survival. And if I say no? He didn't answer. The silence told her enough. Amaka stood in the middle of Chuka's room, the silence between them growing louder with every passing second. Her hands were cold, her heart beating too fast. She didn't know if it was fear, anger, or confusion. Maybe all three. She looked at Chuka, really looked at him. He stood still, his arms folded across his chest, watching her like he expected her to run. You said we have to marry, she said, breaking the silence. But I don't love you. I don't even know if I like you. Chuka nodded slowly, like he had expected her words. I know, he said softly. But this is not about love, Amaka. It's about saving everyone we care about. Amaka laughed without smiling. You keep saying that, but why does it feel like I'm the only one being asked to sacrifice something? What about you? What are you giving up? Chuka stepped closer, his eyes fixed on hers. I didn't choose this life either, he said. Everything I do, every step I take, has been watched since I was a child. My dreams don't belong to me. My choices were written before I was born. You think I wanted to be the man who keeps a curse sleeping? She shook her head slowly, her voice rising. But you didn't say anything. You watched me panic. You watched my brother cry. And still you said nothing. Because I was trying to protect you, he replied, his voice tense now. I thought I could handle it alone. That if I followed the rules, if I stayed in line, maybe you'd never have to know. Maybe we could cheat fate quietly. Then why tell me now? She asked. He turned away, walking to the window and staring out into the dark. Because it's no longer quiet, he said. You went into that forest. You opened something that was never meant to be touched again. Now the spirit knows you. It's watching you. Amaka sat down, rubbing her palms over her jeans, trying to stay calm. So what happens if I say no to marrying you? Chuka turned back, his face pale. Then the curse will move to the next person. Someone close to you. Maybe your mother. Maybe Zara. The spirit doesn't care. It just wants blood. A heavy silence dropped between them again. Amaka lowered her voice. There has to be another way. I've searched for years, Chuka replied. My grandfather gave everything to find one. He lost his mind. My father walked into the river one night and never came back. I am the last one standing. And now you. Tears stung Amaka's eyes, but she blinked them away. I don't want to be a puppet, she whispered. You're not, Chuka said gently. You're the key. You're stronger than you think. Just then, there was a knock on the door. They both turned quickly. Chuka walked over and opened it halfway. It was Zara. I came as fast as I could, she said, stepping in. There's something you both need to see. Zara spread her laptop on the small table and opened a file. A video began to play. It showed a shaky recording of an old woman sitting under a tree, her eyes clouded, her voice low. This is the priestess I told you about, Zara said. She said something strange happened after we left the forest. Something that's never happened before. They leaned in to watch. She says the spirit is no longer bound to the land, Zara explained. It has attached itself to a person. Amaka's stomach turned. A person. The priestess, in the video, spoke clearly. The blood has accepted the crack. The bond is moving. The child is walking again. Chuka paused the video. What does that mean? Zara looked between them. It means the spirit has taken form. It's not just hiding in dreams anymore. It's walking. Who? Amaka asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Who did it take? Zara opened another photo. A blurry shot taken near the village market. A small girl stood in the middle of the road, alone, dressed in old clothes. Her eyes were glowing red. Amaka gasped. That's the same girl from Namdi's dream. Zara nodded. She's real now. The room went quiet again. She's looking for you, Zara said, her voice shaking a bit. And she won't stop. The next day was heavy with heat and whispers. People in the village were already talking about the girl. Some said she came from nowhere. Others said she asked for Amaka by name. Amaka stayed indoors, afraid to even go to the window. Her mother had noticed her acting strange but said nothing. That was worse than shouting. By afternoon, Zara came again, this time with a white envelope in her hand. A letter, she said, dropping it on the table. Amaka opened it. Inside was a simple message written in charcoal. The wedding must happen before the new moon, or the blood will not stop flowing. Chuka was already on the way. He'd seen the same letter left at his doorstep. Amaka held the paper tightly. We don't have time. No, Zara said. You don't. The full moon is in 3 nights. Amaka looked around the room. Her pictures, her books, her drawings, all the things she had dreamed of doing. All the things that would now be buried under this marriage. She felt like screaming. Instead, she said quietly, "Then we marry." Zara stepped closer. "Are you sure?" "No," Amaka replied. "But if it keeps Namdi safe, if it gives us a chance to break this fully, then yes." The village was already buzzing when news of the wedding came out. Everyone acted happy, but there was fear in the air. Some said it was too sudden. Others said it was fate. The old women said it was a sign that the curse had returned. On the evening before the wedding, Amaka sat outside, watching the stars. Chuka came to sit beside her. He didn't speak for a while. Then he said, "Do you hate me?" She looked at him. "No. I just don't know who you are." He nodded. "I understand. I'm scared," she admitted. "I am too." They sat in silence, the air thick with unspoken things. Then Chuka said something she didn't expect. "After the wedding, we go back to the shrine. Together. To finish what we started." "You mean destroy it?" "Yes," he said. "Forever. If we can." Amaka nodded slowly. "Okay." The wind picked up a little. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. But behind the silence, something else was stirring. Not far from them, deep in the forest, a child's voice began to hum. The same tune Namdi had been singing in his sleep. The spirit was getting closer, and it was not coming alone. The day of the wedding came too fast. The sky over Umwagu village was dull, gray, and heavy, like even the sun didn't want to watch what was about to happen. The birds didn't sing. The breeze felt like a warning. Amaka sat quietly in her room, dressed in a simple white lace gown, not the colorful wrapper and beads the elders had prepared. She had refused the full traditional ceremony. There were no drummers, no dancers, no friends laughing outside. It was not that kind of wedding. Her mother, Mama Ifioma, stood in the doorway, holding a small wooden comb. "Let me plait your hair," she said softly. Amaka didn't speak. She just nodded. As her mother gently pulled her hair into lines, the silence between them was filled with old memories. Bathing under the sun after rain, cooking rice over firewood. Nights Mama used to sing her to sleep. Now there were no songs, only quiet. "I wanted a different life for you," Mama said, her voice low. "I know. I prayed you'd marry for love, not this." Amaka swallowed hard. "Me too." Her mother paused and placed the comb on the table. "Do you remember your father's last words before he died?" she asked. "No," Amaka whispered. "He said, protect her. She will carry the fire." I never understood what he meant. Until now. There was a long silence. "I'm sorry I didn't protect you," Mama said, tears slipping down her face. Amaka turned and held her mother tightly. For the first time in days, she cried too. Outside, the air was changing. Chuka waited under the old Irako tree in front of the shrine. He wore a simple white outfit with a red sash, just like the ones worn by the men in the vision Amaka saw. Zara stood close by, holding a staff from the priestess. It was carved with symbols that burned lightly in the light. She looked nervous, watching every movement in the bushes. "The spirit is moving fast," she said to Chuka. "It knows this is the only chance to stop you." "I know," Chuka replied. Then he saw her. Amaka walked slowly toward him, barefoot, the same white dress swaying with the wind. Her eyes were puffy from crying, but her steps were firm. She stopped in front of him, and for a moment, they just stared at each other. "Are you ready?" Chuka asked. "No," she answered. "But I'm here." The priest began the rites. No crowd, just the wind and the old spirits watching from the trees. As the ritual words were said, the sky darkened quickly. Clouds gathered. Thunder rumbled. Zara turned quickly. "She's coming." Then a scream ripped through the air. A child's scream. They all froze. From the trees, the girl stepped out. The same one from Namdi's dreams. Her eyes glowed like fire. Her feet didn't touch the ground. Her dress was soaked in red. "Leave now," Zara warned. But the girl only smiled. "You think this wedding will stop me?" she whispered. The ground shook. The shrine behind them cracked open. Amaka stepped forward. "What do you want from me?" The girl tilted her head. "You opened the door. Now you must bleed." Zara raised the staff. "Stand behind me." But the girl threw her hand forward, and Zara flew backward, crashing into the shrine wall. Chuka pulled Amaka behind him. "Run!" But Amaka didn't move. She looked into the girl's eyes and saw something. Pain, anger, loneliness. "She's not just a spirit," Amaka whispered. "She's what's left of the first bride." Chuka turned sharply. "What?" "I saw her. In the vision. She never got peace. They used her and forgot her." The girl's face twisted with rage. "You remember me now?" Thunder roared. Then suddenly, Namdi ran from the bushes. "Amaka!" "No!" Amaka screamed. "Go back!" But the girl saw him. Her eyes widened. She raised her hand. Amaka ran toward her brother. The spirit threw a blast of wind. Amaka reached him just in time, pushing him to the ground and shielding him with her body. The wind struck. Everything went white. When the dust settled, the shrine was broken. Trees had fallen. Zara crawled out of the rubble, coughing. Chuka lay still on the ground, blood on his arm. And Amaka, she was lying motionless beside Namdi. The girl spirit stood still, her eyes flickering. "I didn't want her dead," the spirit whispered. "I only wanted peace." Zara stood up, her eyes wild with fury. "You'll never get peace by killing the innocent." The girl looked down at Amaka's still body, then vanished into the trees, fading like smoke. Chuka dragged himself to Amaka, grabbing her hand. "Wake up," he whispered. "Please." Her eyes remained closed. Zara knelt beside them, tears on her face. She gave herself to protect him. The full moon rose slowly in the sky, and for the first time in many years the land went silent. The curse had paused, but the cost had been too high. In the days that followed, Umwagu mourned. The elders said it was fate. Some blamed the gods. Others whispered Amaka had become a spirit too, protecting the village from beyond. Chuka sat by her grave every evening, carving her name into the stone again and again, afraid it would fade. Zara carried the staff now, walking into the forest each morning, searching for a way to undo the final thread of the curse. And deep in the trees, where the spirit had once stood, the song of a child echoed faintly in the wind. But no one sang back. 3 months had passed since the wedding that ended in sorrow. Rain had fallen every day since Amaka's burial. It wasn't the kind of rain that made things grow. It was the kind that made roofs leak, soaked clothes rot, and reminded everyone of grief. The villagers whispered that the rain was her tears, that she was crying in the land beyond, for what she lost, or maybe for what she left behind. But something was wrong. The birds still didn't sing. The sky still hung low, and even though the curse seemed to have paused, it hadn't truly ended. Namdi stopped speaking completely. He would sit by the shrine, staring at nothing, sometimes holding pebbles in his hand and whispering her name, Amaka. Chuka wasn't much better. He stopped going to the market, stopped bathing, stopped answering when people knocked. His heart was buried in the ground with Amaka, and no one could reach him. Zara, however, did not stop. Every morning, she walked deep into the forest with the staff. She would kneel by the old broken tree near the stream and press her hand to the soil. She was trying to listen, to find the last clue, the last whisper, the missing truth. She believed Amaka's death was not the end of the story. Something didn't fit. The spirit had disappeared too easily. The curse had not lifted. The land was still restless. Then, one morning, she found something. A red string, tied to a stone near the stream. It was the same string Amaka used to wear around her wrist as a child. A string their mother tied for protection. Zara picked it up and gasped. It was wet, but warm, and it was not there the day before. She rushed back to the village. That night, a sound came from the graveyard. A sound no one could explain. It was soft, like humming, a child's song. Old Papa Ojin, the night guard, said he saw something move near Amaka's grave. A small glow, then silence. But no one believed him. They thought it was age or drink. Until the second night, when the grave itself cracked open. Chuka heard the knock on his door at dawn. He opened it slowly, expecting Zara. But it wasn't Zara. It was Amaka, wet, shivering, pale, alive. "Chuka," she whispered, voice trembling. "I don't know what's happening to me." He stepped back in shock. "Amaka? Is this real? Are you a ghost?" She stepped forward. "Touch me." He reached out with a shaking hand. And she was warm. She collapsed in his arms, breathing heavy. Her heart beat fast like someone running from a lion. "I woke up under the ground," she said. "I couldn't breathe, but something pulled me out." Chuka's hands shook. "We buried you," we cried. "We watched you go." "I know," she said. "I was there." "What?" "I saw everything. I saw you at the grave. I saw Namdi sit alone. I saw Mama faint every time she heard my name. I was trapped in something. In between. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. But I could feel." Chuka's tears fell freely. "How? Why?" Amaka looked into his eyes. "Because I never died." Zara stood frozen when she saw Amaka. Her mouth opened but no words came. It was like seeing a dream walk. They sat around the table, the three of them, while Amaka sipped warm pap and tried to explain. "When the spirit blasted us," she said, "something blocked it. It wasn't me. It was her. The girl." "The spirit girl?" Zara asked. Amaka nodded. "She didn't want to kill me. She wanted me to remember her. She wanted someone to carry her story." "What do you mean?" Chuka asked. "Her real name was Adiz," Amaka whispered. "She was the first bride, sacrificed by the elders long ago. They never asked if she wanted it. They just gave her away to seal a land deal." Zara's eyes widened. "That's the real curse." "Yes," Amaka said. "And now, she's inside me." Chuka stood up quickly. "What?" "She didn't kill me. She entered me." Zara reached for the staff. "Are you saying the spirit is still here?" "She is me. And I am her." Chuka stepped back, his voice breaking. "Are you possessed?" Amaka shook her head. "No. We share one body now. 2 hearts, 1 flesh. She gave me life so her story wouldn't be forgotten. But the curse didn't end because the truth was never told." Zara looked deeply into her. "What must we do?" Amaka stood slowly. "We must tell the village the truth. The elders must confess. The real curse is their silence. Until they admit what they did, Adiz won't rest. And neither will I." That evening, the square was filled. The entire village came out, whispering, gasping, shouting. Some cried. Others hid. The girl they buried was standing in front of them. Alive. Behind her stood Zara and Chuka. And beside her, old Mama Ifioma, holding her walking stick with trembling hands. Then Amaka began to speak. She told them about Adiz, the first bride, given away like meat, buried in silence, forgotten in shame. She told them about the broken promise, about the spirit's pain, and how she came back not to destroy but to be remembered. The village was quiet, until Chief Madhu stood up. "She lies," he shouted. "These are stories for children." But a weak voice rose from the back. It was Elder Obi. "She speaks the truth," he said, tears in his eyes. "I was there. I was a boy, but I saw it." Adiz screamed and begged not to go. They tied her hands and dragged her to the hills. The land we own now was bought with her pain. More elders began to weep. Then another stood. And another. The shame was heavy. The guilt was deep. For the first time in 60 years, the truth was spoken out loud. And as they cried, as they confessed, as they asked the gods and Adiz for forgiveness, the clouds began to break. The birds sang. The rain stopped. Amaka felt something shift in her chest. And for the first time in months, she felt light. Days passed. The land healed. Namdi began to smile again. Mama Ifioma cooked jollof and sang songs. Zara returned the staff to the shrine, and the carvings stopped glowing. And one evening, as Amaka stood by the river, she heard a voice inside her say, Thank you. It was Adiz. She had gone. Peace had come. But the story was not over. Because Amaka felt something new in her belly. Something alive. A heartbeat. And when the time came, she gave birth to a baby girl. With glowing eyes. And a small red string tied to her wrist. The child was born under a blood moon. She came into the world quietly, without a cry, her eyes wide open, watching everyone like she had seen them before. Her skin was smooth and soft, but her stare was deep, too deep for a baby. Amaka held her close, rocking her gently. She named her Adaora, meaning daughter of all. Zara came in slowly, her face tight with worry. She doesn't have a shadow, she whispered. Amaka looked down. The lamp in the room burned bright. Shadows danced on every wall, except under the baby. Chuka stood near the door, frozen. This isn't normal. No, Amaka said softly. But maybe it's not meant to be. The baby never cried. She never laughed. But she would sometimes hum. A soft tune. The same one Amaka used to sing in her dreams. Back when she was trapped between life and death. And each time the baby hummed, the lights flickered. As months passed, strange things happened. The crops grew without water. Sick animals stood and walked again. But sometimes, bad things too. One night, a man who tried to rob Amaka's farm was found the next day lying in the bush. His eyes wide open, mouth frozen in a scream. No wounds, just fear. Deep, bone-cracking fear. He kept repeating one word. She watched me. When asked who, he would only say, the girl, the baby with no shadow. Zara started keeping notes. She noticed the baby didn't sleep like other babies. She would sit up in her cot and just stare at the moon. Sometimes the animals would come to her window, owls, goats, even snakes, just sitting there like they were listening. Are you sure Adiz left you? Zara asked one evening. Amaka didn't answer, because deep inside, she wasn't sure. Then one night, the shrine caught fire. The villagers ran out with buckets, screaming, trying to save it. But the fire didn't spread. It burned only the shrine, only the place where the staff had been kept. And inside the fire, for a brief moment, someone saw her. A girl, with long hair, dressed in white, smiling, then gone. The elders called it a sign. Chief Medu left the village the next day, without saying a word. No one ever saw him again. But something else happened. A new stone appeared at the edge of the village. No one knew who placed it there. It read, "One curse is broken. Another begins." On Adaora's first birthday, the sky turned red for a few minutes. No one said anything, but everyone saw it. And every baby born that month had a strange mark on their foot. A small red circle. Only one elder dared to speak about it. Old Papa Ojin. He whispered, "The girl didn't come to destroy. She came to plant something." "What kind of something?" someone asked. He looked up at the red sky. "A seed." Now, years later, the village is quiet, peaceful. But under the calm, there is something waiting. Because Adaora is growing. And her eyes still glow. She talks to the wind. She walks in dreams. She sees things before they happen. And sometimes, in the dead of night, Amaka wakes up to find her daughter standing outside, barefoot, whispering to someone only she can see. When asked what she's doing, Adaora smiles and says, "I'm listening to the ones who will come after." And her shadow? Still missing. Because maybe she was never meant to cast one. Maybe she is one. The end.